also Prabhupada's book should be lost. So what?
Are you predicting some futuristic thing here?
No, he said it himself. 10,000 years.
Oh, there will be a rise in Krishna consciousness for the next 10,000 years.
Yeah.
There's
and
no.
It's going down. So it's because they changed, or what?
I haven't seen any, specifications to that prediction. I only know that there will be a rise in Krishna consciousness for the next 10,000 years. And then maybe after that there will be a decline.
Yeah.
Whether or not, whatever that means in relationship with the physical books of Srila Prabhupada, I have no idea.
Okay.
I cannot predict the future. Yes?
You were speaking about these two facts that we should put to achieve the success in the 3 days. So
well, 3 days may not be possible, but that's just an example.
Yeah. How to develop these kinds of facts?
How to develop the faith? You have to let somebody else inspire you who has that faith and look how that person does it and they do the same thing. Or just read it, and Prabhupada says, invest your faith in this message and you can make a decision within yourself. Okay, I will jump right into the water. I will take the leap of faith, as Kierkegaard used to say, or said when he lived. The leap of faith. It is the leap of faith, actually. There's no logic that can justify complete surrender to Krishna. There's no. If you read Prabhupada's books, he very, very hardly uses logic. Sometimes he argues a little bit, but usually he just states absolute knowledge. So absolute knowledge is like that. It's not subject to logic, it's not subject to argument, it just is. And that makes it quite difficult actually, because you have to, either you surrender to it or you don't. But when you have surrendered once, it doesn't mean that you have lost your free will. If it didn't work for you, you can always, go back to being a karmi. But you see, if you have not tried to surrender completely, then how do you know what it means? But if you have tried it, you can always surrender completely, and then if that doesn't work, you can always, not surrender again. But within yourself, if I surrender totally, then Krishna will I will become totally Krishna conscious, and that means giving up my independence. Am I ready to do that? Oh no. So it's a question of, because you know that if you surrender completely, it will be so sweet and so nice. But that is like, whoa, now wait. Am I ready for that? It's our own doubts and hesitation that is the only thing that's stopping us, really. You can become Krishna conscious in 3 days or in 1 second, as Maharaj Katwamba, who became Krishna conscious in a moment. These are examples to inspire. We may not be able to do it in 3 days, but actually you can become Krishna conscious very quickly by just applying the technique. Just by reading one purport of Prabhupada's books and just concentrating and trying to just listen in that, submissive way, as Prabhupada says, you will feel something different. You will actually feel a difference within yourself just by doing that. Even sometimes you can listen to, we have made these radio shows where we read the books. If somebody doesn't like to read, you can download the books from krishnaonline.dk. You can hear them in Danish if you don't want to read them. That's the technique I use because I'm too lazy. So I read them and then I listen to it because I'm too lazy to read. But that works too, because then you can hear Prabhupada, and then that does something to you. It changes you inside, even though you don't know how it's taking place. It's very important. Chanting the holy name, that we're all doing, but we can never forget reading Prabhupada's books. As much as we're chanting the holy name, I would say. Both have to be there, otherwise, so much speculation is creeping in and destroying everything. Anything else? Yeah?
Like about free will?
Yeah.
It seems like I'm in a machine, and I can't do anything about it. I'm in this machine like a clockwork, and I'm sitting on one of these wheels, and when I think I'm going to another wheel sitting better, it's just happening without me doing anything.
Krishna describes
Is the clock just going on? So if I want to get out of this clock, I have to scream on the man sitting outside of the clock to pick me up from this clock. I can't really do anything on my own will.
And that's why one has to surrender to a spiritual master at the ultimate issue. But surrendering to a spiritual master is also surrendering to what he's saying in the shape of sound. So it's true. Krishna says the living entity is sitting on a machine, sitting on the material energy as if on a machine. And the word machine is being used. Yantra is actually being used, that word. Yantra Rudhani Maya. What is that verse?
So he's sitting in a machine, in the machine.
The living entity is not a machine, but he's sitting in a situation so that he is actually in a machine-like condition. And the living entity thinks that he's acting, but it's actually the material nature which is acting for him, and his ego makes him think that he's doing all these things. I'm fixing my car, I'm helping that child over the street, and I'm stopping this evil person from doing any more harm. This is not us, this is all going on by the material energy, and the only way to get out of it is to actually listen to the words of the pure devotee. There's no other way out. That is the way out of the machine. To listen to the words of the pure devotee and follow his instructions. In the sense of chanting, and in the sense of keeping on listening to his instructions and following and serving him. That gets you out of the machine, nothing else. Otherwise you will still be in that machine. Why can I find the word? What is the verse? Yeah, what is the number?
18.
18 what?
50.
50?
61.
Is it 61?
Yeah.
That sounds right. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshir junatishtati Ramayan sarvabhutani yantrarurhani mayam. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. So the living entity is like on a machine, this body is like a car, machine, but we're always, this is an important point here, which should be added to your question, that the Supreme Lord is always with us. And when we want to get out of that machine, and then we want to surrender to Him, then He will know that. And then you can get out of that machine, but you have to surrender to the Lord. And that has to be done under the direction of a pure devotee. So it's a little tricky, but it's true. We are on this machine of the material energy. We cannot just get out of it. This body and the whole karmic situation we're born into is like a machine. And we're being tossed around by our desires and pushings, and the only way to do that is to take complete shelter of the pure devotee and following his instruction. Then you might get out of that machine, but it's not so easy. Yeah.
And if we don't feel ready to completely surrender 100%, should we still choose a spiritual master?
No, you should choose a spiritual master only when you're ready to surrender to him completely. Otherwise, it's just a farce. Why? How can you accept a spiritual master if you're not ready to surrender to him completely? You should not do that. Not until you find somebody who can actually surrender to and you trust. Otherwise, if you surrender to a spiritual master but you're not sure, that doesn't work. You have to be sure. Otherwise, don't do it until you're sure. The spiritual master does not need any insincere disciples, because that will just be adding to his karma. If the disciple is a nonsense and does nonsense things, then the spiritual master will have to accept that karma, unfortunately. So, yeah, but the thing is that surrendering to the spiritual master and to Krishna and to the service of Krishna is a permanent thing. It's not something you do once and then it's done. You have to do it all the time. The surrendering of the soul to Krishna, that is the active dynamic of the soul to surrender to Krishna all the time. He wants to do that. He likes to surrender to Krishna. That is the pleasure of the soul. So when you find out that the pleasure is in surrendering, the surrendering itself, that you surrender more and more all the time, and you find pleasure in that, and that is a greater pleasure in that than anything else, then there's a chance that you will actually accept a spiritual master. But before you accept the spiritual master, you have to understand what a spiritual master is, and what a spiritual master is supposed to be able to do and know. That's why our, founder Acharya, spiritual master, he wrote all these books so that anybody, initiated or not, can understand, okay, this is spiritual life, at least theoretically, So now I know what's what. Then you can decide, do I want to surrender or not? But if you don't know the books or exactly what's in them, how can you know what you're surrendering to? So in anything, if you want to do something, you have to educate yourself about what that is. That's why Prabhupada wrote, 60 volumes of books. So this is for serious people. It's not for kids. It's for leaders, serious people, and people who have some brains. It's not for idiots. It's for serious people, Krishna consciousness. So, but even as we're all idiots in this material world, but if we actually listen to the Priya Vyoga, we become intelligent. Basically, if you're in this material world, in Kali Yuga, that means we're basically, fools. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. But we can become intelligent by the mercy of the spiritual master. But it requires only one thing, that we hear with submission. I've said it in every lecture I've ever given here, but it's so important. It's a listening process. Now it's time for Artik, isn't it? Yeah. So let's stop the lecture. Thank you very much. And let's chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Haribol.